Hello everyone, this is Christopher Bennett, owner of CBennett LLC. In this demonstration, I will show you how I use Excel to flip houses. In the previous demonstration I uploaded, I showed how I use Excel for my rental formula. And that's the 2015 rental formula. And I clicked in here and I showed everyone how I use Excel to track rental income, to show automatic cash flows, to transfer money to appropriate accounts, etc., etc. But in this demonstration, I will show everyone how to use Excel to flip houses. If you want to see the other one, you can go to my Bigger Pockets profile and find it. So I use Excel to flip houses and to keep track of expenses and things that just have to be done. On the summary page, which you're looking at now, you can see these sheets below. It says summary page, budget, monthly expense, renovation checklist, receipts, returns on receipts. We'll go through all of that stuff. But on the summary page, it's pretty much a summary, obviously, of all the other sheets that you see down here. As I was looking at the house, or the first time I looked at this house, I made a low estimate, which you see here, and a high estimate of how much it costs to to repair everything that I plan on repairing. Now, normally these numbers aren't this far apart. Normally when I look at a house and I make an estimate, normally I don't think it's going to cost 68 or at a low end, 125 at a high. But either way, as you can see, this property currently $129,642.81 was spent. I just recently did a appraisal on this property, and it appraised much higher than that amount. So I'm very happy, and I will be making a good amount of money on this property when it's sold. As you can see, I changed the address, obviously, for the demonstration. Now, as I go down this summary page, you can see the low estimate for each particular budget. So if my kitchen budget would be at a low $5,600, at a high $8,000, and then you can see here that it came in at $4,026. If you look here, as I scroll down a little bit, you can see the kitchen budget. You can see the top line for the low estimate, the middle line for the high estimate, and then the bottom line for the current, where we're currently at. So for the kitchen, as an example, I'm under budget. Now, as you can see, if you scroll up or just scroll up and down this summary page, I can quickly look at the graph and tell where I'm at. It actually puts it all in the total as well right here. So I can see the low estimate, the high estimate, and where I'm currently at. If I scroll over to the right, you can see the whole thing. And if you have good eyesight, I could then just zoom out and then see the whole thing this way as well. So this is the summary page, and we'll be jumping back and forth as I explain how I use Excel. I would then, as I look at a property, I could just type in whatever I want. So if I wanted to change it from 123, I could put in 120 or 1120. As I change that, it will automatically change the address on every other sheet as I go through. You can see the address change. Also, if I were to change the kitchen, let me take out kitchen and I'll put K room, whatever. I can then go back out to my budget sheet, and I'm going to scroll down here, and notice it will say K room. So as I look at a property, I type in the address. I could type in all of the things that the budgets would need, if it has one kitchen, two kitchens, bathrooms, whatever, and then I can work from there with the budget. Now let's look at the budget page. On the budget page, you would obviously see each and every thing that I would spend money on. So you have your taxes here. I got the school taxes, city taxes, county taxes, and miscellaneous other taxes that I may not be aware of. So I've written out these checks to pay the school taxes. It says which check number I used, and it also says when the city taxes are due and the amount that was mailed out. And then it even says right here the total amount of those checks when I mail those out. If I go back out to the summary pages, I can see my taxes, and I can see the total amount for those taxes. So just simply looking at this summary page, I can see everything. This number right here is generated, if I double click on this, it'll show the formula, by adding together the monthly expense total and down, even the acquisition cost for the property, and then it minuses out the returned receipts. So if I return something at Home Depot or whatever the case may be, or Lowe's or whatever hardware store I go to, you would see the return there. So let's take a quick look at the budget sheet, and let's just start from the top. Monthly expense estimate. As you can see, my monthly expense estimate, or the actual amount that I spent on my monthly expenses, are $874.22. And you can see I put these little comments here so I can see what is it linked to. So let me go over to the monthly expense, and you're going to see a total of $874.22. And on my monthly expense, you can see that I have gas and electric bills every single month. You could see the payment info. So I used these check numbers to write out a check every month. You can see the water bill that's due every 3 months, as you can see, what check numbers I used. And as you look down to the bottom, it all adds together. You could even put hard money lender here if you have to pay interest every month, and keep track of that as well. So as you look at the bottom, they all add up. I could just simply move over to the right. I'll see the $874.22 for the total. And now let me go back out to my summary page. And monthly expense total, you see that right there, $874.22. Let's go back out to the budget. You can see the acquisition cost for this property, how much I paid for it, to the property and the closing costs. If I had a hard money lender, I'd also put the points that I had to put down because that will be included in closing costs. Homeowners insurance, and once again, I'm going back down to the taxes. Let's see here. We have our external expense totals. I have windows, roof and siding, garage door, front door, back doors, new gutters, rear sliding door for the dining room. And you can see the lows, the highs, and the actual amounts that they came out to be. As I scroll over to the right, I put a few things on here. Sometimes in the middle of these projects, especially when you're flipping more than one house at a time, it can get very everything can be everywhere. You don't know whether you're coming or going. So with this Excel document, it keeps me focused. Now I can actually click here, and it will tell me, or I would be able to plug in, where am I at with that particular task. So I could say the job is not started, the contractor paid and the job started, contractor not paid and the job started, whatever the case is. I could even write C comments or task completed. I can write down how I paid for it, whether I use an investor's credit card, my credit card, the LLC credit card, the C comments, the project debit card, whatever the case may be, whether I paid cash, whatever the case may be. And then I could see notes here. So that way I can keep track of who was paid and how were they paid. As you can see here, when I did a new roof, I wrote down who did it, and I also written down the check numbers that I used to write out that check. As you can see the total down here, that's my high estimate, that's my low estimate, that's what it actually came out to be. And then if I were to go back out to look at my external expense total on the summary page, I would see that exact total right there, which will contribute to the total current amount I'm spending on the property. Now that's the budget page. Everything goes on the budget page. So I know you see something weird like, let's see, ERN number 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's if you're looking at this, you'd probably think, what is that? So now let's go over to the receipts sheet. Click on receipts. I'm going to look at ERN number, I think it was 3, 4, 5, and 6. So on my receipts sheet, this is where I see all of the purchases that I've made on a debit card or a credit card, and I received a receipt for them. So even if I go to Lowe's and pay cash, I can put it back here, and I would receive a receipt. So if someone said, what did you buy at Home Depot for $16.12, or what did you buy anywhere on this list, I could simply go back to my budget sheet. I could look up the ERN number. I can see that it was for the front door and the 4 back doors. I can see the total amount it came up to, and I can move over to see the comments. I could see I use the investor's credit card, and I could see comments and see whatever the case may be, if there's anything else there. So I'm going to go back to receipts. I actually have the actual receipt number that I received from Lowe's or Home Depot. I type that in, and I also click here as I finish the project to make sure I have a copy of every single receipt. I can see the date on the receipt, which will be right here. And not only how was it paid for, where was it paid for, but I can also type in a description. So whatever I did pay for. Now, if I scroll all the way to the left, I also see if I added it to the budget sheet, which would be this sheet right here. So what could happen is I could be looking at my receipts. I could say, whoa, what was this purchase? That's $534.24 at Home Depot. I use my project debit card for it, which means that I have one account at the bank that I would specifically use for one specific house, because that's the project I'm working on. So I could say it's ERN number 40, and that was purchased on that day. I can find out, I can click here if I have a copy of the receipt and also see if I added it to the budget. But let's say that I did not fill out a good enough description for ERN number 40. I can simply click on the budget. I can hit Control F. I can type in 40, hit enter, and it will then bring me to everywhere on this sheet that I see the number 40. I keep on clicking next, and there we go. We got ERN 40. It was a sliding door accessory, and now I can see the total amount I spent on it and other things I may want to look at. And let's see here. I can go over to, we went over monthly expense. The renovation checklist. Sometimes I write down stuff like, do I need flood insurance, or make sure I get my money back from my homeowner's insurance company. I pay them 12 months at a time, so therefore if I had the property for 6 months, I'd expect my other 6 months of payment back. I click here if I completed them or not. Let's see. And that's how my renovation checklist works. So I have my summary page. I have my budget. I have my monthly expense, renovation checklist. I have my receipts here, which we looked at. Returns on receipts. Now, as we discussed about summary page, if I return something, I now have the ability to type this in here and to make sure on this document that I process a return for it. It goes right back out to, all the totals come out right here. And then if I go right back out to the summary page, I could see my returned receipts. So I can go back out to receipts here. My apologies, returns on receipts. I can then see, if I scroll up to the top, I can click here to see the actual receipt number, because I returned some paint, I believe that was, how I returned it, what card it was credited to, the amount that I returned, because sometimes you don't return every single thing you bought. So you can buy a bunch of things and return some of them. But the amount that I returned, and if I see the credit going back onto my account, I click there. Do I have a copy of the return receipt? Because I always want my copy of my receipts. If it was added to the budget sheet, I click there too, because I have to add it to that budget sheet, or to be more specific, the summary page, and to make sure it's subtracted from the total amount of investment. Also, I want to add it to the budget sheet, so that way I can make sure I'm within budget for all the things I purchased for, let's say the bathroom number 2 on the first floor, which would be that example. So we went over the budget, the monthly expense, the renovation checklist, the receipts, the return on receipts. And now we can go to check register. And if you haven't noticed, the receipts here look similar to returns on receipts. So I put that red line there. So that way, as I'm jumping through this, I just want to throw this one receipt number in before I run out to go hang out with my wife for dinner or something. I know that when I click on return on receipts, I'd see that red line and I could stop myself. So I do little stuff like that to make sure I'm not typing in one on the other, because I'll mess up all the formulas. Now let's go to the check register. This is where I pay everyone, and I write it down in the check register, like a normal check register. I have a one that I write out too. So if I take my binder with me and I write a contractor a check, I put it in the written version as well, and then I bring it home, and from the written version I plug it in here to the Excel so I don't forget. So let's see, I wrote a check to the city of Port Jervis, right, for a permit. As you can see on 6/19, it was $30. Check number 1007. All of this stuff has to be added to the cost analysis, so I'd put it over there in the budget. So if I went to the budget and I click Control F like I did before, I type in 1007, what would then pop up is this check number for this permit. Also, I would click here if it cleared the account on the business account, on the banking account. And then over here, I'd click here to see if it's added in binder when I write it in physically. So that way I can process this check properly for my record keeping. Also, as you can see, sometimes I just void a check because I make a mistake when I write it out. I can add a description, and it also just properly records how much money I spent on permits. When I do my taxes, I can bring my computer with me. When I bring my computer with me, I sit down with my accountant. He could say, how much did you spend on this, that, and the third? I could simply look it up, and it's very, very quick and easy for me to do it this way. For my LLC, I believe I have to fill out schedule. I think I could be wrong. I'm just going off of memory here. I think it's schedule C or schedule E. Anyway, I forgot. But anyway, the point is that I could look it up when I'm sitting down with my accountant and make this happen very quickly and easily. So we're going on from the check register and the check register sheet, and we're going to click on Contractor List. Now, if I have a contractor that does something, which I always do, I'd put the contractor name here, the actual name of the person. So I have the company name, the person's name, if I received the estimate from them, if I received the contract, if they were hired, and more importantly, did I give them a W-9? Did they return the W-9 to me? And I click that if I mail them a 1099. I have the mailing address here, and I also have any other, information that I should put in there. So that gives me my contractor list and make sure that I send them 1099s at the next year, once the year is up, or once the project is up, sometimes if I felt like it. Now, charges and deposits. This is I pretty much fill this out whenever I make a deposit into the account. So if I deposit, $100,000, I want to be sure that when I look at my summary page, obviously more than $100,000 won't be spent. I could just simply look that up when I'm done with the project and make sure that the proper amount that was put in was the same or equal to the amount that came out. Now, that's my check register. I showed you my contractor list, charges and deposits. We went over that. Profit calculation. I do this at the end. After I received the check from the closing, I got my profit written down. I have the exact amount. The project is completely done. And at this point, I would add in all the interest charges and any other little things that may not have been on this Excel, like the exact amount of interest that was paid out for whatever particular reason on a credit card or something. Then I have the exact amount of profit. Miscellaneous notes, that's just stuff that I just put there. That's just as I'm building this sheet. That's just miscellaneous stuff. That's neither here nor there. So as I go back out to the budget, I can scroll up. You got my, actually, let's start from the summary page. I'm going to do a quick run through, and then you'll be able to see each and every sheet without me jumping around at like lightning speed. So this is the summary page. This shows the amount of all the budgets, the low, the high, the exact amount that's being spent on the property now. This is the graph of, so if I wanted to take a quick glance at a project, I could see the low estimate on this dark blue one. On the middle blue bar, I can see the high estimate, and on the sky blue bar on the bottom, for my external expense total, I can see exactly how much I spent so far. So on the summary page, it pretty much shows everything that are on all of these sheets, even the total amount of checks that I've written out, which is pretty cool, the returns on the cards that I have, and also the receipt totals, let's say. I have the budget page. I can simply scroll down on the budget. I can put stuff in like the gutters, what checks I paid for them, and then I can, let's see here, I can scroll over to the right, see how I paid for it, and the status of the job. My monthly expenses, gas and electric, water bill, the checks that I made out, how much they cost, renovation checklist, just questions I have to ask myself about the property to make sure I completed them or not. Receipts, where every time I go to Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that, I could plug it all in here. I have my little check boxes for if I have a copy of the receipt to make sure I have all my paperwork together. If it was added to the budget sheet, which would be here. The dates, the Excel receipt number, which we went over. So that way I can monitor the budget to make sure we are within budget, and to make sure that I can always find exactly what receipt was used. Let's see, I have the amounts, the place of purchase, the method that I used to purchase it, and then the description of what I did purchase. Returns on receipts, my check register, contractor list, charges or deposits, profit calculation, and all the miscellaneous notes. Now, as you can get the idea of, everyone has their own particular way of doing something. I have to stress that whatever way you choose, it has to just work for you. So if you're not an Excel kind of person, that's fine. There's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. So my advice to you would be to do whatever works for you and that is efficient and it helps you make money. I am a huge Bigger Pockets fan. I listen to the podcasts. I purchased the books from Jay Scott. And I'm not paid by Bigger Pockets to promote this kind of stuff. It's really just me being absolutely fascinated with the website, and that makes me want to support it. I recommend people buy that book written by Jay Scott, which is Estimating Rehab Costs, as well as the other one, which is the book on flipping houses. There's a lot of good information in there. And if you want to be my friend, my colleague, I'd appreciate it. Just hit me up on Bigger Pockets. Also, if you don't mind, could you please vote for this if you found it helpful? And to do a quick, just to show you quickly, the last video I did was on the rental income on the Excel formulas, okay? So this is pretty cool too. I type in the amount of rental income I received, and it pretty much does all the calculations for cash flow for me. So if you don't mind, vote for this. And become my friend, colleague, follow me, whatever the case may be. Reach out to me, ask me any questions you like. Have a good day. Bye-bye.